You've definitely seen this plant before. It's the traveler's palm, and it's basically the poster child for the tropics. People say it's a lifesaver, a natural compass. But what if I told you that pretty much all of that is wrong? So let's peel back the layers and find out what's really going on with this thing. Okay, let's just get right to it. This plant is stunning, right? You see it everywhere from Florida to Thailand, but could it actually be dangerous? The answer is, well, it's complicated. And honestly, it's way more interesting than you'd think.
All right, we're going to start by tearing down the myths. And we're starting with the biggest lie of all, the one that's hiding right there in its name.
I mean, you see this perfect fan of leaves, and your brain just immediately goes to paradise. It's originally from Madagascar, but now it's a global icon. That huge, flat fan of paddle-shaped leaves, it's a total architectural marvel. But behind that perfect facade, it's got some serious secrets. And here we go, secret number 1. It's called the traveler's palm, but it is not, in any way, shape, or form, a palm tree. Nope, it's a total imposter. A gorgeous one for sure, but an imposter. So, what is it then? Let's get a little nerdy for a second and look at the proof. See that family name, Strelitziaceae? That puts it in a totally different part of the plant kingdom. It's in an order called Zingiberales, and you probably know some of its relatives. And here they are. Its actual family includes the bird of paradise and the banana plant. And now that you see them together, you can totally see the family resemblance in those big, paddle-like leaves, can't you? So it's not a palm tree, it's really a giant woody herb. Crazy, right? Okay, so that's myth number 1 busted. Now let's get to the really famous one, the legend that actually gave this plant its name, the story about life-saving water. You know the story. It goes that the little cup-like spots where the leaves meet the stem collect perfectly pure, clean rainwater. So if you're lost and dehydrated, you found a botanical oasis. It's such a romantic idea, and on the surface, there's a tiny bit of truth to it. A single big leaf base can hold a surprising amount of liquid. We're talking up to 1.5 liters. The whole fan shape is like a natural funnel that just directs rain right into these little tanks. So yeah, the water is there. The legend must be true then, right? Absolutely not. In fact, unless you are literally minutes from dying of thirst, drinking this water could be one of the worst mistakes you ever make. The legend conveniently leaves out the most important part. Because what's actually in that water is a disgusting cocktail of stuff you do not want inside you. It's not fresh rainwater. It's a stagnant, gross soup of dead bugs, bird poop, and rotting leaves. It's a prime breeding ground for mosquitoes, and as you can see here, it can be home to nasty bacteria like E. coli, parasites like Giardia, and yeah, even the terrifying brain-eating amoeba in some places. Okay, so the oasis is a total trap. What about the plant's other claim to fame? Let's talk about the compass myth. The old folklore says the fan of leaves always lines up on an east-west axis, like a built-in compass. But the truth has nothing to do with magnetism and everything to do with biology. It's a thing called phototropism. Basically, the plant is just trying to get the most sun it can. It turns its big leaves to soak up the morning and afternoon sun while trying to avoid getting scorched by the intense midday sun. And because it's chasing light, not following the Earth's magnetic field, it's completely unreliable as a compass. If another big tree is casting a shadow, or if it's on a hill, the fan will point a different way. Seriously, trusting this plant to guide you is a fantastic way to get even more lost. Okay, so we've totally destroyed the biggest legends. But here's the best part. The truth about what this plant actually does is way cooler than any of those myths. So let's get into its real story. So the myths are busted. Now we get to dive into the truly incredible stuff this plant does. And it's a story about coevolution and natural engineering that is just, it's mind-blowing. So the plant's flowers are tucked away inside these big, tough boat-shaped things, and they are loaded with nectar. This brings in a very special guest, the black and white rough lemur. When the lemur shoves its face in there to get a drink, the flower has this wild, explosive trigger that just smacks it in the face with a cloud of pollen. The lemur, now covered in the stuff, just moves on to the next plant, making it the biggest pollinator on the entire plant. And this amazing partnership doesn't stop there. Once those flowers are fertilized, the plant creates something really special. Something with a color you almost never see in nature. Get a load of this. The plant makes these brilliant electric blue seeds. That stunning color is not an accident. It's specifically evolved to be irresistible to lemurs, who happen to be great at telling the difference between blues and greens. The lemurs snack on the seeds, wander through the forest, and then, well, they help plant the next generation of travelers' palms. So, beyond being this ecological wonder, this plant is also the absolute cornerstone of human life in its native Madagascar. It's more than just a plant. For them, it's a provider. I mean, the Malagasy people use literally every single part of this thing. Those gigantic leaves make for fantastic waterproof roofing. The leaf stems are tough and they're flattened to make walls and floors. They even eat the heart of the plant as a vegetable. It's basically a living, breathing hardware store. And it's a pharmacy, too. For generations, people have used its parts to treat everything from diabetes to kidney stones. And you know what's cool? Modern science is starting to prove them right, finding compounds in the plant like cycloartenol that actually show anti-diabetic properties in lab tests. And this brings us right back to our first question. The plant has one more dangerous secret. Its leaves are full of compounds that can release hydrogen cyanide if you eat them. It just perfectly shows the plant's two sides. Incredibly useful, but also something you have to respect, because it can be pretty toxic. So the traveler's palm. It's not a palm. Its water can make you sick. Its compass is a myth, but it's a real story of lemur partnerships, sapphire seeds, and sustaining an entire culture is infinitely more amazing. It really makes you wonder, right? How many other things do we just accept as true without ever knowing the incredible and sometimes dangerous reality that's hiding right in front of us? Thanks for joining me on this one.